I found the walk to be absolutely exhilarating. It was a fantastic experience, something I've wanted to do for quite a while and something I've really, really enjoyed doing. From a difficulty point of view, surprisingly not as difficult as I expected, but I think that's down to a large amount of training that I've been doing over the past few months. Indeed, over the past year, I've been doing lots of walking, week in, week out, 15, 20 miles, etc. So every day we were doing probably no more than 15, 16 miles at most. And yes, you walk in consecutive days, but I was able to do lots of cooling down, lots of stretching out, and each day was a fresh start. So consequently, although parts of the walk in itself were quite challenging, from a fitness point of view, it was relatively straightforward.
You told me before you set off that despite having received these double organs, it didn't by any stretch of the imagination mean you were necessarily well or 100% cured or anything like that, and that is perhaps the common misconception. So to set yourself this challenge of completing the walk over the 6 days, it was no small feat, was it?
No, not at all. It really can't be understated. There was quite a visible impact on other people we came across who took time to listen to our story. Pat, my donor's mum, who I was walking with and was very honoured to walk with, she wore a t-shirt that explained about what happened to her son and about organ donation, and she wore that daily. And of course, a lot of people walked past, they may have noticed it, they may not have noticed it, but the people that did, they were really struck by that story, and particularly struck by me walking this challenge with the double transplants. There were quite a few shocked faces when I told them that I was doing this with that. And yes, as you say, there is a misconception about transplants. It's absolutely not a cure. It's just another form of treatment, the same as taking medication, the same as being on dialysis, the same as having chemotherapy. It's just an extreme form of treatment, really. So you have to take that into consideration when doing something like this. So that's why I walked with my father-in-law, because there was somebody responsible who was there with me to make sure that I wasn't pushing myself too hard and doing something too stupid, and taking that into consideration. But I also wanted to say to people that doing a challenge like this with a transplant, albeit isn't a cure, it's a way of opening up a doorway into a new life, into a new way of thinking. I was very, very poorly before the transplant. I may not even be here if it wasn't for that transplant. And that gift that Adam gave to me, very unselflessly, was something to be cherished and something to be honoured. And if that means you can go out and use those gifts for helping other people or for living a life you may not have had otherwise, then why would you not do that?
Of course, Adam could never have imagined what impact that decision to put his name on the donor register could have had when he made it. But certainly the impact, as it's been felt for you, will have been witnessed by his mum, who, as you said, was there with you on the walk. And what did that mean to you? Because that's quite unique in itself, to be able to meet a family member of an organ donor. What was it like having her alongside with you?
It was extraordinarily special, and very honouring, and very humbling at the same time. When we met a few years back, it had a massive impact in itself. We actually did quite a lot of publicity at the time, because the donor families and the recipients to meet, albeit unheard of, is still quite rare, for many different reasons that can happen. A lot of people, it's a very difficult situation to deal with, meeting someone who's benefited from that gift, and so to actually meet up, it is quite unusual in itself. For me to be able to not only meet her, but for her to support me in the way she does, and to come on this walk, as you say, it's a very, very unique experience, and I was so honoured to have her along. When she asked me to come and join me, and it was literally only a few weeks before the walk when she made that decision, what could I say? It was a no-brainer. It was something not only to help represents the gift that Adam had given us and given myself, but something that would help impart a bit of impact on hopefully inspiring people onto the organ donor register by saying, look, this is what people can do. People can achieve this and achieve these things from that gift. Sign the register. This is what it means to me, what it means to other people, what it means to my donor's mother as well. And likewise, I've had it from since in an email, a very nice and lengthy email, how honoured she was to be able to walk with me as well.
What reaction did you get from people who you met along the way?
One of quite a stark astonishment, really. As soon as we told them, well, they saw Pat first. Pat's the donor's mum. She had a T-shirt with her son pictured on it and her own charity that she's involved with, and a bit about organ donation. So that was the thing that struck people first, was about the T-shirt. So we were saying, she was told a little bit about that story to people, and then when they turned and said, Mark here has 2 of his organs, I think people were pretty flabbergasted, for want of a better word. They were blown away by the fact that I was walking with the donor's mum, and some of the faces, you had to see them to believe them, really.
So from taking on this challenge and achieving it in the way that you have, what do you hope comes from this now? And a small part of this is clearly the money that you've raised.
The smallest part is the money, because at the moment I'm up to about £1,500, maybe just short of £1,600. There's a possibility of getting that up to £2,000 as well, which would be extraordinary. That money goes to the British Kidney Patients Association, and they help people who are on dialysis, who are waiting for transplants, may not even be on dialysis yet, or people who are post-transplants, and they help in a number of ways. And the vast majority of that money goes to the people that they help. And they help with financial support, emotional support, so they have a counselling service you can ring. They help people with government funding that they may be able to get, a whole kit and caboodle that's involved around this charity. The major part of it is to inspire people onto the organ donor register. At the moment, there's 22 to 23 million people on the register in this country. That's a third of the population of the country only. And yes, there are 7,000 people at the moment waiting for a transplant. But that's a whole range of people, right down from very young children up to older adults as well. So there's a massive range of population there that need transplants, and they can only get those transplants if there's people on the waiting list and on the donor register. Obviously, not everyone can be accepted onto the donor register, but those people that are, they have the opportunity to help somebody change their life, lead a different life that they may not have had otherwise.
And how about you, Mark? What about what you've learned about yourself personally?
I've learned that if you really want to do something, you can put your mind to it and you can achieve it. There's nothing out there that's out of reach. There's nothing in life that's out of reach. People think life is all about earning money and going out working 9 till 5. And yes, we all need money to live and so on, and that's the way of the world. But there's so much more to life than just doing that. And if you can go out and inspire other people and be courageous and be brave and take on those things, then why wouldn't you?